Hello friends, today we will going to discuss one more topic, that is social control. The control word itself indicates that in any activities of a human being, control is very essential. If it is become uncontrollable, then everything will hamper. So in a society, when we are living with the people, there also we must have some control by means of social aspects. That topic we will going to discuss today about it. Now we will see what is social control. The social control is a system of device whereby group or society brings its members in conformity to its norms or usage. Or in a simpler way, we can say that the social control is a device which is used by a society or a system in which we are living to have a very good behavior that should be in line with the norms and values of that group to keep the group intact and to move forward. This is what is a commonly we used to tell it as a social control. This social control is influenced or exerted by the public or a society. The control is not an individual, it is done by a group or a community which is there, and they will use to have a control over the people who are living in a community, society, or a group, just to promote the welfare of the group as a whole rather than individual. Now we will see the different types of social control. There are majorly two types of social control. The first one is the formal social control. The formal social control, the name itself indicates that this is formulated by exercising some rules and regulations by concerned authoritative agencies, mainly to maintain the social order or harmony in the group or in a society. See, whenever the formal means which is through some certain rules and regulations, and some authorities will come and they will put forth all these rules and regulation on a people who are living in a society to keep the society in order and to have a harmony in a group. And the next one is the informal social control. As the name itself indicates, the informal social control is control which is done by themselves in the society. See, here I have given two pictures, whereas formal social control as an urban area, whereas informal social control, it is like a village situation. When we go to a village or a village situation, it is usually of informal control, where the people will be living together and each one will be taking a responsibility to have a control over each other's activities or a behavior to keep the society intact, which should not hamper or disintegrate or disturb the normal living condition in a community. So in informal social control will be done by ourselves, themselves, in a society, such that they should follow the norms, they should follow the values, or what are the rules and regulations made by informally by a community or a society that has to be followed by a people who are living. It is when we are telling about a community or a village, it is a collective life where people will be living over ages and they are going to be express their behavior through collective actions. These are very common in a primary group, whereas the formal social control is very common in a secondary group. Where the primary relationships are there informal social control will act more. Now we will see the different types of informal social control. The first one is the customs. The customs is nothing but a social practices that are emerged from the collective life and all being followed by a multitude of generations. See, it is mainly involves the sacredness or reverence or respect, judgmental. Judgmental means your behavior is judged whether it is true or false, acceptable or unacceptable, trustworthy or not will be judged here. They see it is a social customs is nothing but whatever the practices we are doing in a society are following the culture of a society or a community in which we are living. See, the customs will be learned by a people when they are living in a community or a society on day-to-day basis from their elder generation or from a people with whom they are living. And it is mainly learned due to socialization. Socialization is nothing but a mingling with the people, participating in different social activities. They will learn all these customs. And the next one is the folk way. The folk ways, there are two words. One is a folk, another one is a way. Folk means people, ways means behavioral habit. In general, we can say that the folk way is nothing but a behavioral habit of a folk. Folk means group of people. So this is what is called as a folk ways. It is a recognized way of behavior or acting in a group or a society. That means how you have to behave in a society or a group when you are with them. This is usually decided based upon your good social behavior. These folk ways are not learned like a customs by living in a society for a generation together or years together, and will not be learned by the elder generations or from a fellow people. Sometimes these folk ways are emerged automatically, and it is usually enforced informally. And these folk ways mainly involves maybe your mode of dressing, eating habit, speaking, greeting pattern. For example, if you are in a house and if somebody is there in a house, you should greet them. If you go like that only, then they say that the folk ways are not good in that family. The good example I can give for a folk ways which will be followed in a rural area is, for example, if you are going for some good work or some precious work, maybe marriage functions or something, puja and all, immediately on the way some black cat crosses your path, they decide that this is not a good sign to go there, and they will stop or postpone that activity because the black cat crossed your path. This is what is the folk way, which comes automatically, and you will going to enforce it informally also many times. That is what the folk ways. So this is very essential in that. These folkways are observed by people as a means of polite behavior and cordial relationship. The folkways is exhibited to the people based upon your behavior and how you used to have a cordial relationship. This is very, very essential to achieve a welfare or progress of a society when you are living in a group. When you are living in a society or a community, you must have that politeness. You must have that cordial relationship. Then only you can be easily accommodated in a group or a community. And the next one is the mores. The mores are the social norms that are widely observed within a particular society or a culture. The morally acceptable prohibits the people from immoral or injustice acts for smooth living. That means the mores are some of the rules and regulations that has to be followed by an individual when he is living in a society or become a part of particular society or a culture. These mores will going to prohibit the people to do some immoral activities or unjust activities or some bad activities when they are living in a community or a society, to have that smooth living. The good example I have given here for two pictures. One is respecting your national flag. That means saluting the national flag is one of a more. Whereas whenever the national anthem is going on, we are supposed to stand and respect the national anthem. This has to be followed. The difference between the mores and the folkways are the intensity of application of these laws or the norms in a society. When you are not following the mores, it acts as a sin and you are punished, or you are punishable in a society. Whereas a folkways, it is punished informally by your group of people if you won't. For example, the folkways, like if you are not wishing a guest who have come to your house, your parents may tell you or convince you have to do like this and like that. Whereas if you won't respect your flag or if you won't salute your flag, it will be taken it seriously and you will be punished, and the legal action will be done against you. So this is what the intensity of application of folkways and mores are different. When we see the difference between the folkways, mores and the customs, the custom is the basis of your life when you are living in a society, whereas the folkways will give you the path how you have to move, and the mores will going to restrict you how you have to act in a society to have a smooth life. And the next one is the taboo. Taboo is something you are not supposed to do in a society when you are living in a society. That means taboo is a negative activity that is not acceptable by a people in a society. That's why I have given here the rules against doing or saying something in a particular culture is against it, or it is prohibited. If anything which is avoided or forbidden for a social reason, that is called as a taboo. Taboo is nothing but a prohibited behavior you are not supposed to do when you are living in a society. See, the Graham Sumner, he is a scientist or a sociologist who has come out with the two concepts, that is more and taboo. The mores and the taboos are given by him only, and he has introduced these two words to the sociologist or the society. Next, we will see the different types of taboo. The first one is the language taboo. Language taboo means you are not supposed to use some filth words or some bad words when you are interacting with the people or in a situation where you are. So there is a restriction for you. You are not supposed to use some bad words when you are interacting. And next comes is the food taboo. The food taboo means you are not supposed to have certain food. For example, if you are a vegetarian, you are not supposed to eat beef or non-veg materials. If you are a Muslim, you are not supposed to eat the pork. These are some of the taboos. We are not supposed to drink alcohol. See, like this, the food taboo is there, which is not supposed to be done by you, or which is not supposed to be accepted by you or performed by you when you are living in a society. And the next one is the incest taboo. Incest taboo means when you are living in a group or in a family, you are not supposed to have a personal relationship with the family members. That does not mean that you are not supposed to marry with your sister or your uncle's daughter or your some mama's daughter, like that. There is a restrictions that within a siblings or within a family, you are not supposed to have a relationship with them. And the next one is the modesty taboo. The modesty taboo is nothing but your dressing pattern. When you are living in a culture, I have given here a picture. This is what the dressing pattern of Indian culture or Indian society. We are supposed to wear the dress which is acceptable for our society or a community. We are not supposed to wear the dress which is not at all acceptable by us. For example, when we are going for a marriage, we are supposed to wear a silk sarees or something which is grand. Or when we are going for a mourning, we should be in a simple dress. If you do the opposite to that, nobody will accept it, which is not acceptable, the dressing pattern for you when you are living in a society or in a community. Now we will see the rituals. The rituals is nothing but the certain activities are the things which is done by a people to please the supernatural power which is existing with us, that is maybe a god. Not only that, the system of carrying out the different practices or different activities in a society is nothing but a ritual. It is a form of behavior for certain actions are designated in a prescribed manner. It is nothing but a faith of a people, that is they are submitting towards the supernatural power. We have to follow this, then only we can please our god or the supernatural power which is existing in a society. So the people become benevolent, charitable, and truthful. Whenever this ritual comes, they never think about the money. They never think about the compromise. They will going to perform all these things. I have given here the Homa Havana. Whenever there is the ritual means, whenever a Brahmin conducting a puja or a Homa, there is a system that they have to put certain things there only. When they are taking a food, before the lunch or food, they used to offer certain part of their grind to the god. This is what the ritual they are following. And the one more I have given here, the marriage. If it is a Indian or Hindu marriage, the exchanging the flower garlands or putting a sindoor, Mangal Sutra, these are the rituals we are following. When we go to a Christian culture, the rituals is there is to exchange their ring. That is very, very important for them. These are the type of the rituals we used to follow in a society to carry out certain activities. Whenever comes the Diwali, we used to explore the crackers. Without the crackers, we never say that this is the Deepavali. This is what is called as a rituals. Next comes is the beliefs. The beliefs means the acceptance that the something or someone is there and it is maybe true. Without a proof, we tell that there is something or someone is there who is looking after us and he may punish us if we do something wrong. That is a belief that we are having true or have false. That may be existing or may not be existing. That is what is called as a belief. This helps us to control the people to do some wrong things or to do something which is away from the naturally acceptable in a society or a community. There are different types of beliefs. The first one is the internal aspects That means we include all those beliefs within ourselves. That is the idea of conventions or the emotions. We are having relationship with a man and a God. That means we are praying to a God in such a way that the God will going to support us. He will going to take away from all the difficulties within ourselves with a certain emotions. And the next belief is the external belief. How we are offering to a God, that is bhajanas we are doing, the prayers and all, and we are putting flowers, giving naivedyas, arti, all these things are the external aspects. Or we are see, I have given here picture why we are doing namaskara in front of a God. It is a submission to a supernatural powers, that the externally we are saying that I am praying you, please save me. And we are having one way we are afraid to do something wrong because the God is seeing us. If you won't do, he may punish us. So this is also, belief is also act as one of the means of social control for us. And there are different types of social control, or beliefs. That is the existence of unseen power. Everybody says that there is some power is there to whom we are praying, that will going to save us from all the difficulties. That is called as a existence of unseen power. At the theory of reincarnation. Reincarnation means rebirth. Everybody is afraid. If I do something sin, I may take birth as an animal, or I may take birth as an insect. I want to get a good rebirth after my death, so I have to do some good thing in a society or a community to get a theory of reincarnation, or to get a good life in my next birth. And the next one is belief in nemesis. Nemesis means there is something like somebody is looking, maybe God or maybe Bhuta, what you are telling, the monster, maybe there. If you do something, they will come and kill us, they will stop us, they will do something. That is what is called as a belief in nemesis. Then the existence of hell and heaven. Everybody wants to do good to reach to the heaven rather than reach to the hell by doing the sin. So whenever we are doing something, even elders used to say, you have done such a nice thing, you will get a heaven. If you do something sin, they'll tell he is a very bad person. After death, he'll go to hell only. Nobody will give him a heaven. He will struggle very hard. And the next one is immortality of the soul. If I do something wrong, and my ancestors may become unsatisfied, and they may disturb me, they may trouble me, or they may cause difficulties to me, that will be there. That means I should satisfy the soul of my ancestors by doing good things. This will control our behavior to act in a society. Now we will see these are all the informal means through which we used to control our activities. There are some formal means through which they used to control the social activities. The first one is the law. We are having a legal system to control the people to do the sin. If anybody did the robbery, the police will catch hold of him and put him in a prison. So everybody is afraid to do it because we will be put it in a prison, and it is a difficult thing. Informally, it is controlled by the authority. And the next one is education. By giving awareness, socializing, educating the people or the children how to live in a society in a better way without harming the harmony or a good thing in a society will be done through this education. And the next one is coercion. Coercions, that is the using of force to achieve a desired end. For example, I have given here a picture of traffic signal. The traffic signal, whenever there is a green light, you have to move. Whenever the red light comes, you have to stop. For that, they have given an indication that where you have to stop, where you have to move. There is unforeseen power or anything which is there to stop you, and you will learn it from education. If you won't follow through this, and the legal action will be taken on you, and you will be controlled. Now we will see what are the different levels of social control. One is to person. That means an individual influences the action and response of another individual based on their social norm or as per to act according to the norms of a society. Whereas next one is group to group level. Here, the one group will going to influence on other group to perform a certain norms or to follow the norms in a village or a society. The good example for this is when there is a jatra, when they are arranging some good big function, village festivals. So two groups will come together and they will going to prescribe what are all the norms has to be followed by one group to another group to have a harmony and to carry out that function. And the next one is from a person to group. An individual who is a custodian of particular group will going to influence their action and behavior according to the social norms to have a harmony. For example, the sarpanch or the head of a village will going to decide how has to be done the particular festival in a village, and he will direct the whole village. As an individual, he is a custodian of that village and he will influence the action of a group. Now we will see what are the needs for this social control. The first one is to bring about the social conformity. The social conformity is nothing but you must move in hand to have a welfare of a society. That means in a group, everybody should have a prescribed way of behavior, the prescribed way of discipline or a behavior such that they can move together and achieve the goal of a society. And the next one is to bring about the social solidarity. Social solidarity means it is nothing but a unity. When everybody is bounded with the norms and they are controlled with this social control measures, then everybody will be having a same way of their behavior. When the harmony is there, the uniformity is there, you can able to achieve the harmony, unity will be there. This unity helps us in achieving a welfare of a society. And the next one is to promote the social welfare. And that is nothing but the social welfare means it is the welfare of a society rather than the development of an individual. See, when the social control is very, very essential to keep every people to think about the progress of a society rather than the progress of individual. See, when I am thinking about myself only, then the group cannot be moved together or achieve the success. So first thing they have to do is they should think about the social welfare. For that, this social control is very essential. And the next one is to bring about the group continuity. If each and every member in a group or in a society or in a community behaves according to their wish, we cannot able to maintain the group intact. The solidarity cannot be maintained, cohesion cannot be maintained, then the continuity of the group is very difficult. If we have a control, social control, make the people to behave in a specific way according to the norms of that, then we can keep the group intact and there will be a continuity of a group for the future action. And the next one is to check the cultural maladjustment. That means whenever we are in a society, we are having a prescribed culture for us. But due to modernization and all those things, there may be a chance that they may change the culture or they may bring about some changes in their culture. This change may hamper the unity of that group or everybody may not agree. At that time, the social control acts as a means to avoid this maladjustment of the culture to keep the group intact to achieve the welfare. So how the social control could be done? The social control could be done through with this social sanction. Social sanctions are the informal sanctions which may be punishment or it may be in terms of rewards. The punishment is informally through this shame, ridiculous, sarcasm, criticism, disapproval, excommunication, and you are sending out of the village. All these things are the punishment they are given. Rewards means the rewarding them. That is, they are prizing you, recognizing you, motivating you in a society for a good behavior. So the social sanctions in terms of reward and the punishment help us to control the behavior. For example, if a child do something wrong, the parents will beat them like anything. That beating will act as a control for them, that they feel that I should not do that mistake again because I will get a beating. That is what the punishment you are having as a social sanction. Same way, if a child achieves something, you reward them. You get them a chocolate, you take them a trip, you get them some material which is required for them. And they will get motivated. If I do it again and again, I will get rewarded and it will be recognized by the parents or by the society. Same way in a social society also, they are using the social sanctions to maintain the social control. So these are some of the difference between informal and social control, formal social control. See here, the enforcing agency is in case of informal is family, school, workplace, whereas formal is the police, judicial, court, which I told already. The primary example is how we can develop informal social control is through socialization, pricing, complaints, or ridicule, gossips, and all those things. Whereas the formal through policies, judicial punishment, agency, all those things. Nature or quality is persuasive way. Informally, we used to pursue the people or convince the people. Whereas in case of formal, it is a punishment imposed on the people. Here, the informal, as I told, it is very common in a primary society or a rural or small society, whereas formal social control is very common in a large or urban society. Thank you so much. I hope you have understood what are the type of social control used in a society, formally and informally, to keep the society move in a smooth way in solidarity to achieve the progress. Thank you.